What is up, my fine folks? It is Monday again, so that means another Monday metagame update. We're talking standard, historic, and a little bit of alchemy. Want to talk about the new set and how it's impacting those formats, so let's get into it. Alrighty, kicking us off with standard. Standard hasn't changed much, but there have been a couple decks that have moved up the rankings a little bit, gotten a little bit better. So if you're still grinding out there on standard, yeah, take a look at some of these decks. So we see that aggro still the best in best of one in standard. Mono white humans, Azori soldier. Here is the kind of newcomer. We saw it a little bit a few weeks ago. Make a little spike of interest with the Gruul aggro going on here, especially with Samut, the previously Planeswalker, now legendary creature that draws you cards, and it is very powerful, and so people have been making Gruul work with this card. So it's got a new resurgence, and it's actually edged out mono red for this week with a pretty respectable amount of games played. So you can tell here that mono red is much more popular. But yeah, if you want a change of pace, Gruul aggro, I would even almost say it's Gruul mid-range. It's not quite, it's like very low to the ground mid-range, but it's definitely more mid-rangey than the mono red and the mono white decks. Of course, you know, tier 2, we got enchantments and Esper, and that's about it. So that's your standard best of one. Of course, you can play some other stuff, but those are your tier decks. Looked at the decks of the day, not a whole lot going on there, so we'll just take a quick peek at the Gruul deck and then move on. So yeah, 60% win rate for the Gruul deck, pretty respectable. It's got Squee, it's got Samut, got all the hasty creatures here, and this one doesn't have anything else special in it, I guess, so mostly mono red splashing Gruul. It looked like there were a few cards that are playing the Doomscar Warrior based on the picture here, but I guess they weren't good enough. Untapped.g is not showing those decks. So, yep. So that's your Gruul there. Let's take a look at best of 3. Best of 3 for this week of the meta. Surprisingly, Dimir has moved up to tier 1. So Esper, of course, we know is very, very good in best of 3. But Dimir mid-range, making a huge splash. And Mono Red still very good, still considered tier 1. Esper Control, tier 2. Domain, tier 2. So yeah, that most of these we know about. Nothing special there. But the Dimir one, pretty cool. That's the Crows one I talked about last week. Got your Fairy Masterminds, got your Shieldrids, your Urtais, and all your Dimir Planeswalkers, and a few counterspells and removal and stuff like that. But yeah, pretty cool. Fairy Mastermind, Yuta Takahashi's card, getting to see some play, which is pretty sweet. Yeah, I guess you just get Fairy Mastermind into Kaito. Pretty sick stuff there. Get a bunch of free cards, and works out pretty well, it turns out. So yeah, that's pretty sweet. Very nice, respectable one right there. All right, let's talk about historic, because we just got a new set, the Lord of the Rings set, LTR, and it's made a little bit of an impact on historic. Definitely impact on alchemy, but not a lot of people playing alchemy. So yeah, let's take a look at historic. So the main decks are still there. We got, you know, the Boros Thopters, Affinity, Banthammer, still very, very good. I don't think Banthammer got any new cards, but Is It Wizard surprisingly is playing some new cards. Let me just take a look real quick at the Banthammer deck, see if they added anything. No, they didn't even use the new equipment cards, so nothing new there. But let's see, I have it here. The Wizards deck got Birthday Escape in there that people are trying out. Draw a card and the ring tempts you. I guess it gives you a little bit of evasiveness, a little bit of reach towards the 4th, you know, ring tempting you. Don't know how good this card really is. I don't think it's that good. But I guess with the Rangers Firebrand, which is basically a shock that also tempts you. Those in combination, if you can get your tempt level up to 3 or 4, does something. Still not sure if they're worth it, but people are trying the new cards out, so makes sense. And then also this card people are trying out, Flame of Anor. It gets some benefit if you have a wizard. It can draw you 2 cards, and it can destroy a creature or an artifact. So I guess helps to have a little bit of artifact hate in the format, and refilling your hands, always nice. So people are trying it out in the wizards deck. Yeah, I can understand that one. That one makes more sense to me, though it is 3 mana, a little bit hard to use, but probably a decent top end to your wizard's deck. So that one is pretty cool. Okay, sorry, going back to the tier list. So Thopters, Hammer, Wizard, of course Rakdos with Crucius is still broken as all get out. Elves surprisingly doing pretty well. Maybe with the greedier decks people are playing, then they're forgetting to add sweepers and removal, and then Elves is dominating there. Tethys also quite good. Affinity, none of that has really changed. Mono Green Devotion did pick up a bit in the format, and we can also see here that for the day it's also very respectable, you know, 3rd highest win rate overall. So Mono Green Devotion doing quite well. We have that one here, and most of the lists I saw here don't have the new cards in them. But I think people have played the One Ring in here a little bit. So maybe just doesn't have the latest version of the deck list here on Untapped.gg. But the basic concept, you know, is you get these green creatures with big green pips in them. You get your Kiorda to draw your cards and untap stuff. And then you've got this Nykthos Shrine, the Nyx, which gives you mana equal to the number of your devotion to a color. So you can quite easily get a bunch of mana for 2 and a tap. And then you can untap it with Kiora and do it again. So you can get like 12 mana, cast your big Storm the Festival cards and stuff like that. So yeah, it was pretty strong before, seeing a resurgence right now. And yeah, I really thought people were trying out the One Ring, but for some reason Untapped.g is not showing that here. I don't know. You can try it out. Give it a shot. The only other cool historic deck that I really saw in Untapped.g was this Abzan Sacrifice list. Basically, it's like Cat Oven, but instead of the oven, you've got Woe Strider and you've got Samwise Gamgee. And it's an infinite combo if you've got those pieces down. Even if you don't, you can have a few other things which sacrifice the cat and get some value out of it, like your priest or your blood artist. Yeah, things like that. So you want to Coco into the combo and just win the game if you get those 3 pieces onto the board, basically. I guess technically you only need to have the cat in your graveyard and then have these on the battlefield from your Coco, and you can bring the cat back and just loop the cycle there. So yeah, just it's pretty easy to get it going, yeah, on turn 4. I mean, maybe not turn 4, 5 or 6, something like that. All right, so let's go into the spicy brews. There wasn't really any tournaments this week either. I think just standard has gotten a little bit stale, you know, so people aren't really playing that. And historic and alchemy typically don't have a lot of tournaments for them anyway. So no tournaments. Yeah, let's look at some brews. So starting off with alchemy, new set, people are trying new things, but of course Crucius still, you know, top tier in alchemy. One Ring also doing really good work. People finding out that, you know, the indestructible and protection from everything basically gives you a time walk, and then you also get to draw 1 turn the turn it comes down, and then 1 card the turn it comes down, and then immediately the next turn you can draw 2 more. So you basically kind of get 3 cards for 4 mana with almost no consequence. So basically always a 3 for 1, which is pretty sick. And as long as you can win the game off of those 3 cards, then you don't care about the eventual cost that you're going to take from in what is it called? Indulgence or something? Well, whatever. The counters that you put on it, which burn you out, you know, like you get damage for each counter on it each turn. But yeah, so the One Ring pretty strong. And this deck got this person on a really nice win rate in Mythic. And we see again another person playing Crucius and One Ring in Alchemy and doing well. Also, they had Bowmasters in there, which Bowmaster's another really strong card, so it makes sense. And then Ali Eldrazi here is saying that it's the Splinter Twin, basically, having Crucius and the One Ring. It's kind of crazy, but sure, yeah. He didn't post a deck list, but you can see there that he's dominating with it. And then if we go to historic, people are really liking the Bowmaster card. I as well have found a lot of good success with the Bowmaster card, which I'll show in a video coming up soon. But this person did like a white tax aggro kind of thing with Thalia and have the Bowmaster in there to also be kind of more taxes on people's draw. So that's an interesting idea. I guess you probably have like Esper Sentinel, Thalia. You have, yeah, the Paulo's card here. But yeah, Bowmaster D&T. They also don't have a deck list. I don't know what it is. People not posting their deck lists on Twitter recently, but the basic idea is pretty easy to understand what's going on here. All right, and then finally some deck lists. This is the Squirrel combo deck that is in Historic, but some people are trying out the new life gain cards like Rosie here. I guess that's the main new one. So Rosie, I believe whenever you gain life, you can put a counter. So it's kind of like another Heliod. Heliod being legendary, you didn't want to get multiple of them. So having some Rosie in there to also give you that combo easier, like faster combo, can help you just storm off. The only downside is Rosie is a little bit easier to kill. So that's the trade-off. Heliod, indestructible. Actually not indestructible, but it's an enchantment when it comes down, so you can't kill it as easily. So yeah, that's the trade-off, but you should be able to combo off faster, so there's benefits there as well. Let's see, we got one more. This is blue-white control in Historic. This one is a Yorion version, but I've seen versions without Yorion. And actually, Yorion makes a lot of sense with the One Ring because you can blink it, start the counters over again if it's getting too high. And then they have Dream Trawler to kind of combo off with the One Ring. You draw off like 5 cards. Now your Dream Trawler is an 8/5. And of course, you have cards to discard to give it hexproof. So that's a pretty nice combo there. Maybe the Teferi idea, the Time Reveler, is to bounce your own One Ring when it gets too expensive as well. Or bounce your Snapcaster so you can recast it. Something like that. But yeah, blue-white was already quite good in Historic, so just giving it more pieces to draw cards tends to make things better. Anytime you're drawing more cards with control is usually better, so yeah. Pretty sweet. And Yorion version, also a nice idea there. And the Reliquary Tower as well makes a lot of sense because you're going to be drawing like 5, 6, I don't know, a lot of cards with your One Ring. All right, that's it for the spicy brews for you for Historic. So far, I see Bowmaster doing quite well in Historic. Food, a little bit of food in Historic. Samwise Gamgee and Rose being the main 2 cards that see play. And the One Ring, of course, see some play. Reprieve, yeah, Reprieve, so you see a lot of Reprieves right now. Anything else? Anything else making a splash? That 1-mana counterspell, a little bit of play, but not much. So I think mainly Reprieve, One Ring, and Bowmaster are the 3 that see the most in Historic. Okay, yeah, I guess that's it. So LTR overall, not a lot of impact, at least so far. I guess not everyone will have access to all the cards, so makes sense. I do think Sauron, the 6 mana Sauron, is quite good and could potentially see play in Historic, but probably people just don't want to craft the wild cards. Plus, 6 mana, a little bit expensive, so you definitely would need it as like a top end to a control deck. But I think it could be good. If I can get like 2 more of them, I'll definitely give it a shot, or maybe I'll just burn my wild cards. We'll see, but definitely seems like a good card. It has potential. Okay, yeah, I guess that's it. So go out there. Hope you're not just grinding the stale standard unless you really, really love it. Check out some historic. There's quite a few new things going on there. And I'll have a new deck that has been doing really well for me coming up soon. Till then, yeah, go out there, have fun, and see ya.